I got a call to, from a PPO colleague of mine saying, that Heritage was, leading an effort. They wanted to really start preparing for the next presidential administration. Kevin Roberts came to the helm, and it's really been amazing to see the changes and the new mission of Heritage, and it's a reinvigoration of its old mission, and it was really great to start working with the people in the building too, and kind of like everyone's now focused on 2025. But what Kevin fundamentally said was, this can't be a Heritage thing. This has to be a movement-wide thing. Heritage is the big sibling, right? We're going on our 50th anniversary. And what we have are resources, and we have convening power. And convening power means that, we have a lot of contacts all over the conservative sphere. And what we can do is bring people together in a meeting. So what we did was, they asked me to kind of envision how we could best prepare for my short stint in the government. And really my point is, we have to bring new people in. We have to bring new blood to Washington. We have to start telling people ahead of time, come to Washington, and we need to tell them this is the job in Washington. This is how it works. And we want to tell them also how this is essentially our code of beliefs. And you have to be pretty well aligned with these. If you're not, don't kid yourself, and don't waste anyone's time, because we're here to do an agenda. We're not here to burnish our resumes and get to the next perch at your corporate law firm. Yeah. So we also needed a battle plan. So what we did was we formed out Project 2025, which is now a coalition of 50 of the leading conservative groups. And we have come together and built what we call a 4-pillar plan. This has never really been done in our movement, to come together as a group of kind of the leading conservative thinkers and organizations and plan well in advance, 2 years plus to prepare. And so we're doing a plan in 4 pillars. I can get into that. Pillar 1 is we're writing what's called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise 2024. Mandate for Leadership was famously a book that Heritage Foundation put out in its infancy and delivered to then President-elect Reagan. And it was essentially a policy prescription, agency by agency, for what would become essentially the Reagan Revolution. This was written in the summer of 1980 by a group of 350 kind of people in and out of the government, not from Heritage, the majority of outside Heritage, and it became a very useful tool. So we said, well, we're going to redo that this year, and we're going to also kind of go back to how it was in 1980, and we're going to write it with the majority of the folks outside Heritage. So that book is actually going to be coming out in 2 months' time, April 19th. The second pillar is we're building a massive database, if you will, to really bring into the 21st century this political hiring. What we want to do is take all of our members, our board of advisors, this coalition, and get their personal recommendations. And we want to kind of use that as a clearinghouse where various organizations can recommend individuals, and we can see commonalities among those recommendations. As well, people can flag issues and folks that really shouldn't be there. But what we're really building is what we call a conservative LinkedIn. So this will allow anyone listening to this program to essentially build his or her own profile and develop it. And, you'll upload your resume and your social media and take, kind of some diagnostic on your political leanings as well, your background, and amplify your case, why you would like a job. You can indicate where you want to work and what your skill set is. And we're going to be able to say, this is the central place. You don't have to send your resume around anymore. You don't have to worry about it. You can ask somebody to put in a recommendation, and they'll send the recommendation in to Project 2025, and we'll be able to see all this coming to one place. Eventually, we'll be able to make recommendations to the incoming administration through their transition team and say, this is a team that would work really well at the Department of Labor. So we're going to take these profiles and match them up, if you will, to almost an electronic organization chart and pull up various profiles of people for consideration. Third, the folks in those profiles, we're going to ask them to take online courses. This is pillar 3. It's our Presidential Administration Academy. So this is for people who have served and people who have never been in government. Some of the rudimentary, this is how the agency functions, or this is how you can get a job. This is the process of filling out a security clearance. This is what suitability means to, here's how you work effectively with career officials. And this is your endpoint in a policy, to get policy interagency made up. We'll be getting more active, higher level people like general counsel school or like a CFO school. And later on in 2024, we'll have conferences. So it's really to teach people what they're going to be doing in government. Then the fourth prong is what we call our playbook. And that's really getting people together to start drafting the first 180 days of work. So agencies are at root lawmaking bodies, for better or for worse, through regulations. And writing regulations and pulling bad regulations down is a lot of effort. So really getting folks working on that early on, and as well as, the policy and some of the various reorganization strategies and personnel strategies that might come of a takeover when you march in the door on the 20th of January, what you're going to do in the next 180 days. So it's a battle plan. So at the end of the day, we're going to have a group of folks in our database who are aligned, in our database of Pillar 2, who are aligned with the book in Pillar 1, the precepts in that, who've completed some of the coursework in Pillar 3, and who maybe have even gone to start working on some of the drafting of legislation and regulations that they may be working on when they get in the door on January 20th.
It's fascinating that you're the person running something like this, because you're exactly the kind of person who should be running something like this. I mean, you experienced a whole set of challenges in the last year of the administration and have been able to hopefully build up this project to directly respond to some of those issues. I'd be curious, small examples, even medium examples, just practically speaking, if you had something like this last time, what would it have enabled you guys to do inside the administration that's now possible?
Well, thank you. I mean, I feel like, here's the weird thing in life I'm realizing as I get older, and particularly in Washington, it's like you keep thinking to yourself, no, someone's got this, right? This is really important.
One of the adults has a plan, right? No, they don't. So true.
So if anyone takes a message away from this hour, it's like, no, you got to step up and start creating it yourself. I mean, you guys are perfect examples of a group that's filling a void that you just saw happen.
Yeah, what are these shithead kids doing in DC? It's like, well, I'm sorry, no one else is doing it.
You got, I would have liked to think that this was going on, and it's kind of hard to believe that it hasn't been going on. And I'm sure the left has, they're just myriads more organized and prepared than we are. That said, if we had some of this, I think obviously I might have gone to work a lot earlier in the Trump admin, but I think the Trump admin hopefully would have been, President Trump and the group accomplished so much in spite of so much headwinds. But had there been a little bit more of a plan, I think you would have seen some of the initial missteps potentially would have been avoided. And you would have been able to point to something and say, no, that's really not our take on homelessness, or this isn't, really the conservative viewpoint we should be aiming towards. So I think you see a lot more alignment too. So we'll see. It's a huge undertaking, but we really have so many positive, skilled people here. I encourage everyone to go to project2025.org, find out more about it, and sign up. We're going to be rolling out a lot more in the coming month or two, but that's an initial place where you can register your interest.